temples that in relation to the pyramid, which is placed at the center of the plaza, it was used as the observatory for the marking of the solstice and equinox. And they know that during the time when these people, which is the theory is that they came from Asia across the land bridge to Alaska, and when they settled around Mesoamerica, Mexico, Salvador, Belize, Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, that's when these people end up adapting to this micro-niche climate and bringing about then agriculture. And this agriculture led to the need of understanding the weather patterns, which led the Maya then to have a very keen observation of the sun movements, maybe using gnomons. When from gnomons, they moved to a more advanced observation by placing the buildings to interplay with the shadows and lights, and that will let these people then to follow this movement of the sun, bringing about a calendar that they call Ha'ab. And this Ha'ab is the calendar that consists of 365 days, and this is 365-day calendar that was divided into 18 months, each month having 20 days, having an extra 5 days at the end of the year that the Maya called Wayebs. And these 5 days of Wayebs is what the Maya thought to be the days of fasting, meditation, and kind of abstinence, because they were considered to be evil days. They also began to do certain plantings, and this planting seems to be quality. At the times, the production seems to be very poor, but as they began to see that the moon had to do also its effect, just like you were talking about the North Sharks, the Maya also followed the moon phases, and these moon phases led these people to learn that there is certain favorable timing of the moon, that certain tubers of certain seeds had to be planted, and that will lead them to the birth of another calendar that they call Solkin. And this is the Solkin calendar that consists of 260 days, dividing it into 13 months, each month having 20 days. And this is the Solkin calendar that no archaeologists refer to this as the embryogenetic calendar, since it coincides with the gestation period of women, and at the same time it has to do with the biorhythmic period of the body. And this is the Solkin calendar that today the indigenous Maya people are using to carry on those fire burning ceremonies. This became the backbone of Maya calendars, and that will lead them to this moon observation, sun movement, sunrises and sunsets, which led about them to learn about this other calendar that the Maya priests were able to realize that when these two calendars went through this reciprocal motion, it will take them a total of 52 years for these calendars to mesh, and that is the calendar that the Maya view as the Great Calendaric Wheel, and that is the Great Calendaric Wheel calendar that sum up to a total of 18,980 days. So that's when these two calendars mesh. That ended up becoming the equivalent of 52 years of 365 days each. That also led to the beginning of Maya architecture in the pre-classic by assembling buildings at the ending of our 52 years on top of the old. And that will lead to the construction of this pyramid, which archaeologists refer to the style as cake. Cake is the assembling of buildings one on top of the other. And by doing that, the building retains its uniformity of the steps within the building, and also end up gaining height and also volume of material. At the North Acropolis, where you saw the mask of the Chak, the rain god, that is the carving that is dating back to 250 BC. At the North Acropolis area, they were experimenting with the onion, and that onion is the result of modifying buildings also over a period of 52 years, which is the example of Roshan dolls. That's how they describe it. So at the North Acropolis, doing the Roshan doll, understanding breadth of buildings. At the Mundo Perdido, with this pyramid, experimenting with the height and volume of structures. So that what led them to the achievement of the cake, and this cake led them to the understanding of the heights of building. And this what led to the trials and errors of architecture in the pre-classic. So that by the classical period, 250 AD to 850 AD, the Maya has already come up with a master plan, bringing about the monumental construction that we have seen so far. And this is the pyramid also that was embellished with cosmic carvings, and those carvings that you see, especially the wooden frame sustaining the block, and the other chalky section on the left. Those are the carvings that are referred to as balams. Balams are jaguars, and the Maya believe that the sun has his alter ego during his daily journey, but also the sun has his own alter ego during his nocturnal journey. And that's where the jaguars represents the forces of light and the forces of darkness. And that's the importance of the carving that you see midway the height of the pyramid. By the classical period, this is the pyramid that served as the sky-watching observatory. And that's one of the reasons that the building has been reformed by the archaeologists as commemorative astronomical observatory. So that's the importance of this structure, becoming not only the icon of pre-classic architecture, but also this is the building that was the highest point of Tikal until 550 AD. By 600 AD is when those taller buildings were started to be commissioned, like the ones we have seen. So that's the pre-classic style and early classic style.